so it's wonderful to be here. Congratulations to all of you. And but before I start my remarks, just a suggestion. This is one of those, and Pastor Tate, I thought, did a terrific job in the invitation using the term transition. Today's one of those transitions, and maybe just take a moment and a deep breath and take all of this in. From sitting up here and to see where Cleary University has come and what you all have accomplished is really inspiring. So just take a moment. Life is busy. We don't do that very often, but be proud of yourself for what you've done. So I'd like to get started, and I think what I will first do is to welcome all the graduates, their partners, spouses, friends, and families to the event today. We're here to not only celebrate your degrees, but the commitment and effort that it took for you guys to accomplish this. This is the beginning of the next chapter of your lives, and I'll certainly talk a little bit about life chapters in the next 15 minutes or so. And just to kind of get to what brought us here today, about maybe 12 or 18 months ago, I got kind of reconnected with Cleary. Honestly, I hadn't been very connected with it in a bunch of years. And got to know Tom Egan a little bit, talked to Dr. Drimmer and eventually some of the folks from the board, and they kind of stunned me with an invitation to be here with you today. And it's interesting, and you're pretty excited about it, and then you realize that we're supposed to come up and say something wise, which is sometimes a pretty daunting prospect. So I'll do the best I can today with my Midwest humility, and hopefully you'll take away a few things that will be helpful today. So first, just a couple minutes on my background. Grew up in Howell, graduate of Howell High School. This thing's going to be crazy. And I was the first person in my family to have gone to college ever. So to say that coming to Cleary College upon graduation from high school was a grand strategy would be revisionist history. To be really honest, I had no idea how to go to college. Didn't have any money, and Cleary was convenient. What I did know is that I enjoyed business. Hadn't grown up with any money and certainly wanted to earn some. And business seemed like a really great place to do that. And then upon coming here to this campus, which was a small fraction of what it is today, the instructors were just fantastic. And not only did they share, and I know you guys have experienced this too, but not only did they share what we all needed to learn, they shared the passion for their subjects and have put that passion in me for the rest of my life. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. My wife, Cindy, over here, we went to high school together. We've been high school sweethearts, and she also came here a couple years after I started at Cleary. We both graduated from here. Certainly, meeting her was, one of the best decisions of my life. I have no idea where that came from. You'll have to check with her and see. She may not have the same point of view. But we have two grown children. Our son, Jacob, lives in Madison, Wisconsin, was not able to be with us today. Our daughter, Madison, was, goodness gracious, is a first grade teacher. She went to Oklanis out in East Grand Rapids, and lives down in Nashville, where we live today. So from a business point of view, which is much less emotional part of my life, I trust, as Dr. Drimmer mentioned in the opening, started a company called Discount Office Supply here while going to college at about 20 years old, and knew all of the things that most 20-year-olds know. So learned certainly a lot of lessons in the 8 or 10 years running that business. Eventually sold it to a company called Corporate Express that became the commercial arm of Staples, which was kind of my entree from an entrepreneurial world, a small business world, to corporate America, which honestly was probably where my predisposition was a little bit better. Went through, as Dr. Drimmer mentioned, a number of corporations, was in Corporate Express, worked at Advanced Auto Parts, ranks in the armed transportation business for a while, and I've been at Bridgestone for about the last 7 years and have every intention of finishing up my career there. What I learned, though, in those years, just kind of about myself, is that I'm passionate about building organizations, are the things, developing strategy and then kind of bringing it into reality, which is, lots of folks like to build the strategy, but doing both halves is challenging. But most importantly, and what I want to get to talking about a little bit today is working together with colleagues and friends and people that I work for and have worked for and vice versa, is building those relationships and what it can mean to your career and much more importantly, the fabric of your life as you go through it. So it's one of the things that I won't touch on today is I'm not going to really talk through the economics of getting a degree. You all have heard that, and that's why you've made the commitment that you made. But I do want to mention there's a fellow named John Dewey, who's a first half of the 20th century, a little obscure educational philosopher, and he says, education is not the preparation for life, education is life itself. And I think that's something that, just to remember that this is certainly not the end of your educational journey. In fact, quite to the contrary, it's the foundation for its continuation for the rest of your life. So I would challenge you to enjoy that, and frankly, with the way the world seems to be ever accelerating, I think we all need to be constantly committed to learning in as many areas as we can just to keep up with everything that's going on in the world. So, kind of get to the main section of my comments for today. So, as I kind of thought about what to talk about, it is pretty daunting and intimidating to know what to say that's useful to people from anywhere from your 20s to your 30s, 40s, and 50s. So I'm going to try to cover a few things, but the way I kind of thought about it is, if I could go back to talk to myself back when I was graduating, what are the handful of things that I might want to tell myself that might have made the last few decades a little bit easier? And I will kind of begin with a couple of thoughts. So one is, I think life is at best an outline, it's not a script. And the famous business philosopher, Woody Allen, has a great quote. It says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. And it's such an interesting way to think about it, because I'm willing to bet about 95% of the folks sitting here today that are graduating today are pretty type A personalities, highly planned. This is kind of how we're all wired, right? But you've been equipped here at Cleary with this life compass course. And as I was reacquainting myself with the organization, it's just an amazing tool. And as you're continuing to go through life, I know that's been embedded in you, and I would definitely suggest that you kind of keep with that, because what is very important to you today will certainly evolve over time. And I think we've seen that in our lives already, and that will certainly continue. And I challenge you to keep looking to discover your destiny, as essentially part of that program. So over the years, it's become clear to me that the biggest challenges to being successful in whatever area you're pursuing aren't so much what you know, the things that you need to know in your job. What's really much more important is the ability to manage yourself within high pressure situations where you have stake in the game, if you will. And one of the other concepts that you've been taught here is the Cleary mind. And for those guests and non-students today, I just wanted to take a quick second to touch on the 8 elements of it. So there's communication, creative thinking, problem solving, persuasion, entrepreneurship, leadership, ethics, and critical thinking. And that construct, you may not realize it today, but as you go through these years to come in your career, you're going to realize it's really a part of you, and that tool will be useful to you for the rest of your lives. So I'm going to touch on the 5 things that I would tell myself if I could go back those years and touch on them. Those 5 things are character, maintain humility and empathy. There's a price to pay for the journey that you choose. Be relentless and patient. And lastly, maintain and cherish your relationships. They enrich your life. So first, in doing this, I had thought back to my Cleary commencement some years ago, and the gentleman who spoke then talked a lot about character. And I remember being in my early 20s, and the way that I processed character at the time was almost from a religious point of view, to be transparent, was almost the way I kind of thought about it. And as you do at 22, 23 years old, you roll your eyes and you move on. But what I've come to learn is, character is sometimes described as it's what you do when you think no one's watching. And one of the things that is so important is character and transparency are the phrases that you'll hear today, or in this time. Those phrases change over the years, but it's very important to be transparent and honest with yourself, with others. And one of the things from a practical point of view in a business organization, as you move up and get to more and more senior levels, it really becomes, you can never impugn your character a single time, because you can actually just end a career with one misstep. And it's very, very careful, or very, very important to maintain that. And one of the things about leadership, it's an old Teddy Roosevelt quote, but no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And as you begin to take on teams, or those of you who haven't yet, or as your teams grow over time, it's very important. The second thing I wanted to touch on is maintain humility and empathy. And as you move through an executive life, it can be a bit confusing at times. The first boss I had in corporate America shared these, and Steve said, you're going to get a lot more credit than you deserve when things go well, and a lot more blame than you do when they go poorly. And what I would share with you is this: stay centered. When you're having a great year, a great run, remember you may not be that good. Stay humble. You're going to eventually, yes sir, you're going to eventually have some pretty tough years. I had the chance to share with Alan and Tom at dinner yesterday. Last year was one of the toughest years of my career, and you have to have a deep centered belief in yourself that you stay confident, and you have to be able to surround yourself with people you trust, who can help, you can confide in, quite honestly, because your decisions are very important, and it's important to maintain that center. Give credit, take responsibility. When the folks you work with, be it above, parallel, or below you organizationally, always ask yourself before responding, where are they coming from, and why are they thinking about this issue in the way that they are, and it will make you so much more effective in how you kind of deal with them. So kind of meet people where they are is probably the simplest way to do that. Thirdly, there's a price to pay for the journey that you choose. And I would tell you that the achievement of your plans will always come at a price. And the bigger your plans, the higher the level of effort that will be required, and there will be certain trade-offs that you have to make in your life. I would tell you that, and I'll give you just two real quick examples. I think you can make a fair argument that the best basketball player to ever play may be Michael Jordan. And secondly, probably the best golfer ever was, right? Certainly of the last X number of years. The thing that those two have in common, other than the friendship that they've developed over the years, is they were famous for being the two hardest workers in each of their sports. And that's something when you read each of their stories, they practice more, they work more, they experiment more than anybody else in their business. That's them paying the price for becoming what they both very obviously became. And one of the things as you go through when you're making these choices in life is whoever your partner might be, your partner, your spouse, whoever it is that you are with in your life, it's very important that you are aligned with one another so that you're rowing in the same direction. Those prices that you can pay for things you need to accomplish in life can be travel, it can be relocation. I was actually talking to the chief about that a little bit before we got started. There's different choices you have to make, and it's very important before you start making that you're aligned with your partner on how you work together as a team to get there. And the last thing I'd like to leave on that topic is this. Work-life balance is something that we all are trying to achieve. And I would challenge you to go out and wherever you get your podcasts, there's some folks at Princeton doing some work on something called work-life integration. It is kind of interesting because you think about what's happened over the last 10 or 15 years from the ever-present and intrusive technologies that constantly are invading our lives, right? Is you almost have to figure out how to integrate that into your life rather than kind of separating from it. And it's a very interesting thing, and I'm not going to dive into it today, but it's something that really gives you thought. But once you've decided on the path that you wish to pursue, understand the price, enjoy it, embrace it. Because the joy ultimately in life really doesn't come from the accomplishments, it's the walk along the way. That's where you're really having the fun. Fourth, be relentless, but patient. Like I said, there's a level of effort, there's a price to pay. What I would suggest is make sure that you stay pragmatic, not dogmatic on topics. The art of the possible is an old phrase that they used to use around politics. We've kind of lost that a bit. But compromise and getting things done, keeping your organization, your charitable organization, whatever it is you're working with, keep it moving forward all the time. You're not always going to get everything you want, but just be pragmatic about that. As part of being relentless, hard work is impossible to replace, and is an absolute necessity if you're going to accomplish a lot. It's not the most popular thing to say these days, right? We want to kind of work some and be super balanced. But like I said, whatever you're trying to accomplish, there's that price that we need to pay to get there. And I'll leave you with something, and certainly Pastor Kate would probably have a different point of view on this, but I've always liked to believe that all things happen for a reason in your life. I have no idea if that's actually true or not. I would really like to think so. But for me, it really has helped because sometimes it feels like life has more setbacks than victories. And some of those setbacks in our life seem to have a reason. Others just seem to have been setbacks. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really good construct, and it kind of allows you to move on and to stay committed to your task. Fifth, I think maintaining and cherishing relationships is maybe of all the things might be the most important. And this is not networking where we're exchanging business cards and I'm trying to see who you could sell me or I could sell you and vice versa. It's not that at all. It's just getting to know the people in your life that you come across, connecting with them, spending, and it's a very tactical suggestion, but spending 10 minutes a day, I do it every morning, and just send a note to a friend, make a quick phone call to a former colleague, spend 5 or 10 minutes on LinkedIn and send a couple of notes, whatever it might be. Invest that time with your fellow graduates here today. We all know we graduated from other schools and it's very easy to lose track. Stay in touch. You will find that it will build your life. And approach it from a servant mentality, not asking what you can do for me, but what can I do for you? And you'll find that it's rewarding in its own right, and whether it ever pays off in some sort of a sense, I don't know. But it's certainly a very rewarding life, and I think it's an important thing to maintain. So, as I kind of get to my closing, hopefully there's a little something that you can take from those five elements. There's an ethicist by the name of Michael Josephson. As I kind of get to the closing, and I'll read this to you. It says, take pride in how far you've come, have faith in how far you can go, but don't forget to enjoy the journey. And again, I would like to thank Dr. Drimmer and the Board of Trustees for this honor of a lifetime, honestly, to be with you today. On behalf of my family, wish you all the very best that life can bring, both professionally and personally, and go Cougars. Thank you.